Chapter 5. Life as an Adult. I was at an event at the school cafeteria. We were celebrating and waiting in the line. My guidance counselor had asked me what I wanted to major in college, but I just remained silent. She was amazed I couldn't make a decision or speak my mind. Fortunately, during senior year in high school, I had an opportunity to take an occupational survey that gave me guidance on what profession I could study. I recall I was being still and not thinking about anything really, and felt that everything around me became still. I felt drawn inside myself, and I heard a voice tell me, nursing assistant, nursing assistant, nursing assistant. Not too long after that, a teacher I admired asked what I wanted to become, and I told him nursing assistant. I told him of my spiritual experience. It would be a few years later before I embarked on that journey. Oftentimes, as a nursing assistant, I worked evening shifts from 3 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. On one occasion, I decided to catch a taxi cab. The taxi cab driver asked if I was an angel. On a day shift, the nursing home oftentimes had contracts with several businesses. These businesses had nursing assistants working for them as contract employees. One time, a friendly nursing assistant offered to take me home. As he drove in the car, I was trying to lead him. At the time, I lived in Silver Spring, Maryland. The area was close to the cities, Washington, D.C., Tacoma Park, and Adelphi. I saw an invisible hand point in the direction of left, which would have led me to the correct street I lived on. But I didn't tell the driver. He must have understood me. I sat uncomfortably in my seat. I just saw an invisible hand guiding me, as if the hand was helping me to know how to get home in an automobile. I failed to share what I saw to the driver. Somehow he knew what direction he was to take, but questioned why I didn't give him the correct directions so he could have been put to ease. I remember I was at a point in my life when I was really excited about going to church. I was really excited about work. I would spend my spare time hanging out with the neighbor's kid. Her dad was a pastor at the time. She lived with her brother, mom, and her stepdad. I remember a time when I asked her to pray. I allowed the little girl to pray. We kneeled down to pray in my attic room, and tears flowed down my eyes. I cried so much. I remember not being a person to cry in front of people or cry at all. It was just something I was not allowed to do when I grew up with mom. Crying was frowned upon. When I asked someone about my experience, she mentioned children are pure, and this young girl had something very special about her. She loved God and prayed often. She took God very seriously and never tolerated my jokes I made about God. I remember we had a Guatemalan youth come to our church. He was a revered leader in his home country and spent some time in the state of Maryland. He was well versed in the scriptures and flowed in the gift of knowledge, wisdom, and prophecy. During a particular time, he had asked for the pastor's permission to stay at the church for 3 days. I remember one of those days he was there. I saw him in an open vision, and in the open vision, I knew I had to wake up and pray. He informed close friends about his experience. The church needed to repent. We weren't living ways that pleased God, and it was necessary to amend our ways before God. Sometime later, I had a dream. The dream was presented in Hebrew characters. I saw the Hebrew word for door. The word door was something represented as one letter. When the word door is investigated using the worldwide search engine, it is represented by 3 letters. In the dream, I saw one letter that represented door in Hebrew. The dream unfolded, and the interpretation to what it may have represented. The door was open, and I saw door to finances, door to health, and door to friends. In the dream, I was given the immediate interpretation. These were areas of my life that I needed to improve on. At the time, I didn't think to share it with mentors, but reached out to professors who taught Hebrew at a prestigious university. Despite emails and calls, none of the 3 professors reached out to me. I don't know why I reached out to them. I guess I was excited. I had a dream with Hebrew letters and became happy. I started to become super focused on the Hebrew language and study the Bible in English, Greek, and Hebrew. I had a dream of a father and a son. The son was a small boy. The father had given me the impression Hebrew is an ancient language and not something to be explored. I didn't bring the dream in prayer before God or ask people at church that were versed in dreams what the dream could have meant. It would be years till I had the opportunity to study the Hebrew language, to visit Israel virtually through artificial intelligence goggles, and take biblical Hebrew classes. Chapter 6, Sunday School. I was usually nominated to volunteer to help out at Sunday school at the various churches I had the privilege of attending. Because of my passion for music, I brought in my small radio and made sure I had CDs to teach children new songs in Spanish. They had an opportunity to hear their peers singing in their language. I was the head teacher and came up with activities to keep the children's level of interest up. Serving God, serving children is a privilege. It was a period of time when the church sermons were not recorded. At that time, use of technology at the local small church was not something that was explored. Years later, I was allowed to enjoy services. At one particular church membership consisted of 20 people. I was often asked to babysit the children. A well-known evangelist from California had come to my church. Although I wasn't able to listen in to the sermon, he sensed my sadness and put his arm on my shoulder to console me. I was thankful he saw my heart. When the prophet Samuel came to Jesse's house to look for a future king, he thought Jesse's first son would be the right fit to be king because he was handsome and had all the right features, all pleasing to the human eye. But God was teaching the prophet Samuel, man, people look at the physical aspect, but God examines the heart. I was thankful the evangelist saw my heart.